Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. This is a rescheduled board meeting. Today is Thursday, October 3rd, 2013. It is 7:01, I believe. We have a board meeting followed by a committee of the whole as well. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Ms. Sherby, can you please call the roll?
Present.
Trustee Gattuso.
Present.
Trustee Perry. Absent. Trustee Rita. Present. Trustee Stecker.
Present.
Trustee Yorkovich.
Present.
President Puglia.
Present. We do have a quorum, and I did receive a call from Frank today and had a family situation. He's unable to attend. Item number 4, any presentations this evening?
No.
Nothing. Okay. Item number 5, public comments. Give as many visitors as possible an equal opportunity to speak. In the interest of adjourning by 9, please limit your comments to 3 minutes unless further time is granted by the board. Anyone?
We just had a meeting of the Sustainability Commission, and I brought to their attention that someone had emailed me some information on recycling, collection and recycling of grease after Thanksgiving, the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So I have the flyers to hand out to everyone to see if they want to participate. It does say that they would pay us money if the grease is suitable quality.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did they give any parameters on their flyers? I mean, I'm all for recycling everything. I know the restaurants have a process in place already. I'm sure this is for more residential customers in that. I guess the question would be if somebody came here with a jar of something and all of a sudden it wasn't the quality of the collector, now what? You know what, we'll certainly take a look at it. Again, you know, I know you've probably got this, I see from Scarce. I'm a member of that as well. I gave Angelo the packet of all the Scarce things that they collect, which is quite expansive in DuPage County. But great. Okay. Take a peek. All right. Thank you.
Notice on the village website about the change for this meeting date, and it was said that it was changed to accommodate end-of-year filing requirements. Can you tell me what those filing requirements are that you're going to address tonight?
That was an error. It is has been changed to accommodate a scheduling conflict with the mayor.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes, that posting is an error. The meeting has been changed to accommodating a scheduling conflict with myself and the mayor.
Okay. All right, so is that this is still a valid notice?
Yes.
Okay, even though
Really what's required is the notice of the change of the meeting.
Still a valid notice.
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, any public hearings? Nope. Wow. Consent agenda, we have items A through F, bills, reports, minutes of August 27th, ordinance amending the annual budget appropriations for 2013, amending the fees, time of payment, license year for vehicles, vehicle tags, and the resolution approving authorization, the execution of the amendment to the professional service agreement between Azavar Technologies and the Village of Westchester. Anyone need anything pulled? Once, twice, 3 times? If not, is there a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Celeste and Paul. Roll call, please, Ms. Sherby.
Trustee Gattuso.
Aye.
Trustee Perry is absent. Trustee Rita.
Aye.
Trustee Stecker.
Aye.
Trustee Yorkovich.
Aye.
Trustee Calpagno.
Aye.
And President Pulia.
Aye, motion carries. Those items will be available for public review. Item number 8, active agenda. Ordinance amending section 113850 entitled Defenses Available to Alleged Violator of Violation of Red Light Signal. Also section 113800, Notice of Final Determination of Liability. 1138 entitled Automatic Traffic Law Enforcement System of Title 11 Municipal Code, Village of Westchester. Is there a motion and a second to approve that
So moved.
as well? Tom, is there a second?
Second.
Angelo? Any additional discussion necessary on that active item agenda? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Rita.
Aye.
Trustee Stecker.
Aye.
Trustee Yorkovich.
Aye.
Trustee Calpagno.
Aye.
Trustee Gattuso.
Aye.
President Pulia.
Aye, motion carries. Item number 9, Manager's Report. Janet?
Okay. Just a couple things to note this evening. First, I would like to wish Ann Burkholder, Finance Director, a very happy birthday today, on the record.
You can't go without singing, though.
21.
No, but everybody didn't sing. So you are what, 28 and a half today? Is that?
She's
where we're-
29 again.
29 again? Oh. Well, happy birthday, Annie Oakley. Many more.
Okay. While everybody's getting, we're finalizing all the details for the Fall Fest at the Fountain this Saturday, October 5th from 2 to 8 p.m. We're always still looking for volunteers. If anybody wants to come out and help with the activities, please let us know. On November 11th, we will be hosting another AARP driver's class here at Village Hall. You can call Molly at the village main number to sign up for that class. That will also allow seniors to receive a reduced insurance rate. One other thing, on behalf of the Park District, I'd like to promote the Veterans Day Run on Sunday, November 10th, and there's info on the Park District website. And that's all I have this evening. Oh, I'm gonna let you.
Oh, yeah, I'll get
Okay,
that. Okay.
that's all I have this evening.
And Melissa, our attorney, anything for this evening?
No report.
Other than the baby's fine and everybody's good, right?
Baby's all good.
There you go.
Mhm.
And also, just for the record, on Tuesday, you will be sworn in to practice in front of the United States Supreme Court. So that is an honor, and I was glad to sponsor her, and I'm looking forward to that, as I think she will as well. When you are in that chamber, it is like nothing you've ever been before to watch those justices, because she'll be sitting there listening to an actual argument case. And when they tell you 3 minutes or 5 minutes, somebody's got to watch. And it's almost like there's a guy with a hook, and you're in the middle of you're gone. So it's very interesting to be there. So I know you're looking forward to that as well. So congratulations.
Thank you, I'm very
There are only a certain number of attorneys throughout the country that have that distinction, so it's a plus for you. Board members, let's see. We'll start with Angelo, since you were in the Environmental Sustainability Committee, ESC.
You heard about the idea for the grease collection. The only other thing I think is just a reminder on November 9th, it's a combined recycling event. The e-recycling will be going on, the paper shredding will be happening, and then I believe the food drive that day at the same time, so
Yeah, with
it's
Cam.
a kind of a combined event that day. So again, looking for volunteers, we can really use them that day.
Yeah, and I would imagine when the Green Committee gets together, if there's, when you start looking at that scarce thing, I mean, I have no problem if we collect something that we don't collect now or running it out to scarce. I mean, they take shoes, they take this, crayons, whatever. So in the event that, you know, you're looking to expand what we're collecting, you know, don't hesitate, because we have a resource to get rid of it. So at the end of the day, we put it in a truck or my van like anything else, and we drive out to Glen Ellen and drop it off. So I'm sure they don't mind if it's inter-county operations. So, you know, just keep that in your head. So, great. Cab, Tommy, you have something coming up?
We have a meeting in October 16th. Other than that, no, the food drive starts November 1st. The locations will be at the Park District buildings and here in the front of the Village Hall again.
Is that with
That's with the food pantry.
food? Are the Cub Scouts doing anything this year? I mean, they usually
They
do
do
it. I
that-
haven't heard
I haven't heard.
around Thanksgiving as well. I
Right.
know they were.
It's the first.
Probably early right now. They haven't done anything. They're doing their popcorn candy sale right
Yeah.
now, so.
Yeah.
Once
Okay.
that's over with, then you'll probably hear more about that.
Yeah, because I know there's two groups now, so I
Right.
don't know where they're at. That's something new for this year.
We're also going to be starting Toys for Tots come November 1st as well.
Okay, great. Nikki?
The ETSB board, we met, it was kind of a, it just kind of caught up some of the other members up to speed with what's going on with the NORCOM migration and just kind of anticipation of when we start our budget meetings and how the ETSB funds budget is going to kind of be a little reshaped moving into next year. And then once we start seeing how the rest of the city's going to be budgeted with general revenues and everything with NORCOM, how that's going to be farmed out, we'll have a better idea. So it was just kind of a catching everybody else up to speed with that. Police and fire with the testing, fire was just done. They just completed that. Hopefully that should be, we should have a list up by November sometime, and then there's going to be some promotional testing going on early next year. And I think that's all that's going on. Police department right now is just kind of moving along right now with the chief.
Right, a couple questions. So the November is for the basic firefighter
Yeah, the
position?
entry-level position, correct.
Okay, right now we are short, is that not correct? We're
Correct.
2 people short as a result of disability on one officer, and where was the other one?
One retirement.
One retirement.
Correct, yeah.
Well, so, you know, since we were paying for these things, I would suggest that we let the Police and Fire Commission know, certainly, that we want to replace these 2 positions. And as soon as that list is posted, I think those first 2 candidates should be pushed into the, I guess, whatever final testing phases or whatever we're doing.
Yeah, there's going to be a short presentation, I think, on the state of the finances with regarding to that. I think
Is that we doing that today?
Yes, I would like to, with the board's consent, invite Chief Adams to step into exec session with us.
Oh, okay.
Talk
Because
about
I think if we're down 2, I guess we're paying overtime to fill the slots,
Yeah, paying a lot of overtime.
you know? Okay, you're in the middle of that, okay. All right, and the promotion thing, that's for the rank? Is there any spots open?
There's no spots open, but
You
by
need an
statute,
active
we're
list.
supposed to have current lists. So right now, our captain's list is currently expired, and the lieutenant's is coming up in January.
Okay. Couple things from prior board meetings, I know we talked about, I guess it was put a little bit on hiatus of the new construction requirements of sprinkler in single and multifamily, is that?
Yeah, currently I'm working with Rich Piccolo from BNF to get something that hopefully we won't have to redo when we redo our fire codes when we review them. So I'm working with him currently with that, yes.
Okay, that we have some, I mean, to me, it would have been a simple vote at the next meeting. I think
Well,
we're all
right.
pretty much in favor
The
of.
thing about the ordinance is every town has their exceptions to it, and it's all based on different life safety codes, because they update the life safety codes every 3 years. Everybody's got their own variations, so there's a lot of research that has gone into trying to figure out why there's exceptions to this, what I thought too was a relatively simple residential sprinkler ordinance. Wasn't so simple after the research got started. So I just want to make sure we do it right, and we do what's best for our residents. So
Yeah, well, to me, if you're building a new house or you're building a new townhouse, you need a sprinkler system. To me, what exception is out there?
there's different things as far as the antifreeze and things like that that go into a system depending on where it is installed in the house. So I just want to make sure whatever we do, it's going to be there and we're not amending it right away, because we're reviewing our fire codes and building codes this fall.
Okay, is there a time, I'd like to get this thing done before the cows come home? Seems like everything that I suggest over a number of years never gets to the plate. It's like standing on second base and never getting the run. So we need to put some time restrictions on this so we get it done. It's as simple as that. So
Some of this
what
was
happens is
well,
we'll
some of this
talk
was
about
also,
it, and then we
right.
will
Well,
forget
some of this
about
was
it,
also,
and then 40 other things come up, and then we never
Right.
revisit it.
no, I've been working on it. Some of this was going to be based on the 2012 Life Safety Code that seemed like it was going to fly through the state, and it got held up, and now the whole thing is being reviewed. So now we've gotten it down to just the fire sprinkler aspect of it, not the whole fire life safety code, which was the initial intent of it to begin with when we started, was to go to the whole 2012 Life Safety Code.
Okay. The other thing, I understand that we have 2 vehicles being built. One is a rescue vehicle, and one is an ambulance, correct?
Correct.
2 different places, or where
Yeah,
are they
two
coming
different.
out of?
Yeah, 2 different companies.
I mean, local, one's in Florida, I understand?
They're both in Florida.
In Florida. Okay. And I understand we took a look at this thing, and I guess in a certain construction phase of it.
The rescue truck, we saw the cab has been fabricated, primed, and painted. It's at the point where should get weekly pictures on it, and I'll forward them to the board and show you where we're at with that.
And the ambulance, where's?
Ambulance pre-construction is done. The chassis was ordered right after the meeting. Basically, construction on that will start as soon as the chassis comes in, but that was the urgency to get the chassis order in so we could get the ball rolling.
Okay, did you look at a chassis when you were down there?
No, because the chassis has to be ordered. We had seen we've seen a ambulance with a 2013 chassis, which is very similar to the 2014, but again, they don't make the 2013, they're in the 2014 year, and they're
Okay,
manufacturing them as they come up. Thus, that's why, like I said, when we put that through, when I had asked to push that through, that was just to get the chassis ordered, and at that point, the construction of the back of the box and any of the other details with it were to come later, which is now done.
Okay, so we went to Florida and we saw the cab of the truck. Is that pretty much it?
No, we went to Florida and did pre-construction on the ambulance. We sat down with the engineers and went over the details line by line to make sure the money we spend on it is exactly what we want. There's lots of details as far as the electronics that go into it, all the air ride systems, things of that nature.
Is that something different than any other ambulance that's out there? I guess I don't see the need for the trip.
We're not
To
ordering.
be quite blunt, I don't see the need for the
If we
trip.
ordered a stock ambulance, yeah, there's no trip involved. We had ordered a custom ambulance that the box is done to what the firefighters, or our paramedics, I should say, to help facilitate their job as easy as possible. So it's set up in the way that's done to the majority of my guys to, again, help facilitate their job.
To be quite blunt, I don't think we needed to send 4 guys to Florida to look at a plan. I think they could have faxed the plan up here, emailed the plan, you could have looked at the plan, you could have made red lines on it. I think it was a wasted trip, me personally. I don't know how the other part of the board feels, but I do feel that it was a wasted trip for 4 people when you're down 2 and you had to have overtime to fill probably at least 1 or 2 of those slots over the time parameter that you were gone.
There was one overtime slot, and that was the shift that was short a man. At this point, like I said, we're spending a lot of money on this vehicle. We want to make sure we get what we're paying for, and it was also built into the RFP that the trip would include for 4 people.
That we paid for. I mean, it wasn't a free,
Through the selling process of the vehicle, I'm sure it's paid for, but it's not a line item in the vehicle.
again, Chief, when the new squad cars come in, I want you to put in that you want to go to Detroit to go take a look. We're going to fly you up there, and you can go look and see them put wheels on a vehicle on the assembly line. I think it was a wasted trip. I have a whole bunch of reservations about how the whole thing is. I expressed them to Janet. I don't think it was necessary,
Okay,
and we'll just leave it at that.
okay.
To take 4 guys to go to Florida to look at a chassis or a box or whatever that somebody could have sent a picture of, whatever. To me, the mechanic should have went. And the way I look at an ambulance is, guess what? You mean the ambulance that Hillside has is no different than the ambulance that we have. An ambulance is an ambulance is an ambulance. Maybe you put a little box here differently, whatever. I don't see the necessity of that whatsoever. And I always say, I have another reservation as well, and I shared with Janet, and I will share that with you at a later time. But I'm not happy about the whole thing, and if I would have had a vote in it, maybe you would have gone if necessary, but it wouldn't have been an entourage. I'll tell you that much. So, end of story. Chief.
The report for the police department was not included in your packet. Unfortunately, the lieutenant is away on a pension convention in Wisconsin, and I didn't anticipate the end of the month and the rescheduling of the meeting. So in error, it was not included in your report. As soon as the lieutenant returns, we'll make sure that all the elected officials get an email, get the monthly report emailed to them immediately. As of next week, the part-time administrative clerks will be starting their training at the police department in our records section. That'll be throughout the week and different shifts, and it'll be coordinated and supervised by Lieutenant Mersch. I met with the detective division yesterday. We talked about ideas to streamline the operation of the detective division, possibly within the parameters of the union agreement, changing hours of one of the detectives to make it more useful for 2 people to be available in the early morning hours versus later on. There'll still be a detective here throughout the evening as in the past. We're looking at ways that we could put a fax machine directly into the Detective Division, which would allow the Bureau of Identification to immediately return to responses on liquor applicants and law enforcement applicants, such as the part-time clerks, to expedite the response, whether waiting for the U.S. mail, or sometimes it gets hung up for days, if not weeks. We can get an immediate response from BFI if we give them a letter and a dedicated fax to the Detective Division. So Greg is helping us out with that. It's a very minimal cost. There's a few other things we're working with the Detective Division for investigations and interviews to make sure our equipment is up to date. So they had a lot of good input without a lot of cost involved to help the operation of the Detective Division. And this week we've also been updating the radios in the cars that were an issue before I took on the job here. There were some two-way radios that were ordered. They finally came in. They were being installed. The installations are completely finalized as of today. And we're now working, and we had mentioned at the 911 meeting, there's some additional equipment as far as siren boxes that need to be replaced because they're not worthy of being repaired any longer. We're looking into that right now as well. So everything's fluid, everything's fine. I was out and about in the community from east to west and north and south to get myself fully acclimated on the exact boundaries of the village. So I was out with Lieutenant O'Hagan for several hours the other day. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody have a question for the chief? If not,
The fire department is hosting an open house October 12th from 10 to 1. We'll have various demonstrations going on. Also this month is breast cancer awareness. The firefighters are selling T-shirts in support of breast cancer awareness. They'll be available at the open house. They're currently available at the firehouse and the village hall. They're $20 a piece. All proceeds go to breast cancer awareness. And I believe Jason Sudas has it worked out where those monies that are raised will directly benefit Westchester residents that are currently suffering from breast cancer. Been working with NORCOM to get a temporary ring down system in order to for when the transition happens, a Zetron system. It can't be ordered and in place in time. We've been working with their engineers to get that going. As Nick said, I've also been working with Terry Mastandria from iChiefs to figure out the assessments for the captains and the lieutenants. Trying to start nailing down dates. I have a couple potential dates for the captain's assessment at this point, which at the meeting we'll discuss the police and fire board meeting. And then last but not least, we actually had a house fire the other day. Fortunately, there were no injuries. I just want to remind the public to check your smoke detectors, and now with the change of clocks coming up here in the near future, change your clocks or change your batteries and change your clocks. And just in general, keep good housekeeping when it comes to general safety around the house.
thank you, Chief. Annie, birthday girl.
Well, thank you all for the kind birthday wishes. It's been a lovely day with my Westchester family here. In the Finance Department, we are in the middle of viewing our demonstrations for the general ledger software proposals that were returned back to the village. We've seen two, and we have two more to see. One's tomorrow, and then one is Monday the 14th. So after that, we'll have seen everything, and we'll have some time to collect our final thoughts and ask any final questions to our vendors and come back to the village board with a recommendation on how to go forward. I'm really excited with what we've seen so far. There's a lot of advances over what the village currently has for software, and I think there's going to be some tools in these software packages to really increase efficiency and customer service. Today, we also finalized all of the paperwork for the refinance of the fire engine that was approved at the last board meeting, so that will be funded tomorrow, and we've got everything in line for that to go smoothly.
Annie, what's our savings on that? Can you,
It's
what we're gonna, about?
wound up being incredibly minimal. It's just under $2,000 over the rest of the loan. The rates, of course, fluctuate with the market, so each day it was a new payoff amount and a new rate that we'd pay on that forthcoming amount. The primary benefit that I see here, and the reason Janet and I decided to go ahead and go forward with it at such a nominal savings, was to consolidate our lease agreements with one vendor. So there's one representative to call, and you are quoted a little more favorably the next time we would have to go for financing, knowing we've got this much business with PNC and with the forthcoming finance of the ambulance that's being built. And I think there's one more piece of public works equipment. One, Dave, or two? I think one, that has been budgeted and not yet purchased, that, knowing that we'll be doing a little more financing in the future, I know that it benefits us to have this kind of history with PNC, both for forthcoming interest rates and from a customer service standpoint. So it was not a lot of work for the benefit we derived.
Thank you. Any questions, Amy? Gregory?
Yes, Ann was so nice to hand me over all the booklets for the general ledger software, and I started reading through them and had no clue what they were talking about until I got to the appendix, is really what she wanted me to read. So then I go into the office and meet with them, and I start talking to them, and she goes, I have no clue what you're saying. So I think we're all on the same page that we're going to get software that is actually going to be very functional on their end and work well on the technology side, so that we have minimal downtime, have easy access to updating it. So I think the combination of her knowledge, Janet's knowledge, and Helly has been a part of it as well, and then what I've been able to bring in and try and make sure that we're going to get a total package that's not only functional but will be easy to maintain. The only other thing I have is just a reminder on what we'll call the National Drug Take-Back Day. We also, have our box out there. It's, as mentioned very often here at these meetings, we've got our box out there that gets filled often. But October 26th is the Drug Enforcement Administration's they're calling it the National Take-Back Day. They do it twice a year. And, of course, we participate by bringing our drop-offs over to them a couple days later. So our drop-off is Monday after the weekend, not the Sunday like it used to be. But for the citizens, the 26th is the day to fill up our lobby.
Paul, sorry, I passed you by. Anything on the...
We're winding down, car shows and everything, and concerts are all winding down, so we have 2 left, and hope for another big year next year, so I can't wait. They've been very good. I have to say, car shows, more than 200 cars every week. Concerts have been consistently about 50, 60 people, and it's growing. A lot of good responses, a lot of good things, so keep our fingers crossed and hope weather stays good next year, and we'll have some more. And we'll get the village to sponsor a band, which
Katy Perry.
could be Katy Perry. I was just going to tell you. Just called her, she said okay, all right? And so far, so good, guys. Thank you again for a great year. It's been fun out there. And like I said, it brings a lot of good things to the community, and there's a lot of people that show up, and they're very, very pleased. So thank you.
Celestine. I forgot.
It's okay, I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Mr. Dave.
Public Works most recently has been active restoring the ground from ash tree removals, the most recent ash trees that have been removed. Also, Central Blacktop came to town this Monday with their big grinder, and we edge ground Bristol and Derby in the industrial park area. Our in-house crews have actually paved the edges on Bristol so far. Weather has kind of prevented us from completing that project, but we're doing the prep work to continue next Monday to finish up our edge patching on Derby Lane. Also, they did grind for us the alley behind Papa's Pizza, so we'll be putting that back together probably about mid next week. We began meter reading this week. We're also assisting in the festival preparation upcoming this Saturday. Street program update. As I mentioned, Central Blacktop's in town now. They've milled out the pavement on Newcastle, Hull and the Strand, north of Roosevelt Road. They'll probably be paving in there next week, and that project should be nearly completed. From there, they'll be moving back to the west side of town, High Ridge, High Dorn, and Charles Street, where the water main work has now been completed, as well as the concrete work. So the street program is on schedule and to be completed by the end of October.
And of course, you're working on the next 10 streets?
That's correct.
Okay. And I know there is a vacancy in the Public Works Department with a senior person. I would ask the board to consider hiring somebody to fill that spot. Certainly, I think right now there's, we have one individual that's off on an injury, one that just came back. We have one that's retired, and there was the part-time position that was never filled, or the part-time person had to go back to school. So we have a position and a half open, notwithstanding when the gentleman that's hurt is going to come back. So I would ask the board to look at the hiring of at least one person and maybe a part-time person for whatever X amount of hours are allowed, as the new person will certainly be making less than the person that retired that was the most senior person. So my way of thinking, you almost can get two people out of the game. You pay a little bit more if, you know, if you look at that the way I'm looking at it. But at the least, I think we should certainly consider it as a board, letting Dave accept some applications to get a nice pick like we've done in the past. The last two picks, I think, have worked out terrifically well. And somebody to similarly complement the staff in that same regard. So consider that, and it's up to the finance people.
I agree.
But I think we have a vacancy, and we can hire somebody at a less price. Plus, that person's been gone for 2 months, so we save 2 months of that savings as well in this budget. So
I agree 100%, Sam. If Janet can do some numbers with Annie and come back with us, maybe 2 full-timers would be better than the 1.5. And even it's gonna cost us a little more, Dave can get a lot more done with 2 full-timers than a part-time and full-time, you know, than a full-time. We can definitely use more people on the street. As Dave knows, there's never enough people on the street to get our stuff done. So I think we all should really look hard at what we have to do and try to get a couple more guys out there, because we can really knock it dead. These guys work very hard out there, and they get a lot of stuff done. So.
well, my suggestion is at least to go forward with the one position. I think that's a no-brainer. The second one, we'll look at some computations, because there's some benefits in there that, you know, you're gonna eat up something like that. But I see no reason why one position cannot be filled.
And I'd like to see it sooner than later. I mean, now it's the tail end of the busy season. I don't want to see this in January when we're actually slow. When Dave could he could be using the body right now, finish up some of these projects. So I'd like to see at least the one spot sooner than later.
Okay, thank you very much for your support. I agree that we are spread rather thin.
I can do a cost analysis and email it to the board if you want to make a decision before the next meeting.
I mean, as far as the one person.
Right. And regarding part-timers, we are restricted in accordance with a bargaining agreement that a part-timer can work no more than 1,000 hours.
Right.
Right, but I was looking at the offset of Mr. Parentes and then whatever, I mean, for the,
He was at the high end.
yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the one Joe spot is a no-brainer. That's an open spot that needs to be filled
Exactly.
with a lesser monetary deal like yesterday. The other one, I think, obviously needs a little bit more discussion, because I think it's gonna cost a little bit more money, and that's a decision the board has to make based on revenues. So, whether you wanna do that or not.
Is anybody out right now injured?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just 1, 2, 3?
One currently.
One.
We
One
just had a guy
currently.
return back to work today from 3 weeks off.
Okay.
So
How
anyway.
how long is he anticipated to be off for?
Till the end of the year.
Is it something that, is it work-related, or?
No.
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 So, Dave, why I got you on the, do you have any update on the, did Brian give you any, on the AT&T trouble today at the Crestwood?
I have not heard of that yet, no.
Okay, here's the scenario as I understand it. There's a communication problem between Crestwood and 10th Avenue. And our guys have been coming in at night because there's no communication and punching in overtime or whatever. And conversations that I've had with water personnel indicated that they were pointing a finger that our equipment was inoperative or something wrong with the equipment. And last I heard that it wasn't the equipment, although we bought new equipment, it was something with the line. So if you can hook up with Brian and them tomorrow, I mentioned it to Greg because we were talking about ways to beam data. If data can't get from 10th Avenue or from Crestwood to 10th Avenue because of that we're in a low ditch at Crestwood, we may be able to beam something off our tower here, and we have another Net 17 tower by Hines, which is right by the pumping station. So maybe we can beam stuff off of that or go back to our overhead tower, which also has a voter for Net 17, and then, you know, bounce it a couple ways to eliminate whatever problem. But I was told it may have been equipment, we were looking at equipment, we may have bought equipment, but if there's a finger to be pointed at AT&T, I think we need to have all these costings in here, if it's their baby and their problem, that we get reimbursed for that and their time and whatever. It's been going on for a couple of days, I understand. So I know they're coming in, they're punching in. We happened to be here the other night doing something with Molly, and that's when I became aware that there was an issue that somebody was coming in at night to check something, so we had enough water for overnight. So if you get to the bottom of that and figure out what it is, and if we have to bill back somebody, great. I know we're getting the VFDs put in and that kind of stuff, but I don't think it's a problem related to that. It's more of a communication problem, and if we need to get rid of the POTS lines that go underground and beam something off microwave, I think we have enough towers and with a minimal amount of equipment or something over the internet, as Greg pointed out, that it might be able to do what we have to do. There's limited data that's going back and forth. The tank's either full or it's empty. I mean, we're not, you know, what are we looking at? So, if you wouldn't mind finding that out as well.
Absolutely, thank you.
Miss Melissa, your turn.
Good evening. I just wanted to let everyone know that Andy Esposito, our plumbing inspector, had he went through a week-long training to get his cross-connection control device inspector certification, and he had to take an exam at the end of the week-long training, and he passed it, so he has his certification. So he'll be working with me on the backflow prevention program that was adopted earlier this year. Also wanted to let you know that Follett is in for their construction plans. We've issued the demolition plans. I believe they've started work. We've been working on scheduling a public hearing for the comprehensive plan update, and also for a special use. 2 businesses opened in September. They were the Bivio Bakery at Cermak and Manheim, and also Corporate Communication Solutions on Cermak. My department issued 164 permits last month and conducted 207 inspections. It amounted to $3 million in construction value and $67,000 in fees. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew the Church of Latter-day Saints on Hayes has purchased 2 houses north of their church, and they're going to be expanding their parking lot to the north. But just so that everybody knows, those 2 houses are vacant right now.
As a matter of fact, I went by before the meeting today, and the demolition fencing is up for those 2 homes, the 2 homes north of the Church of Latter-day Saints at Haas and Canterbury. If we haven't, I would suggest that we welcome the new businesses on our sign. If we can get a hold of McGee maybe tomorrow, if we don't have it up there, to welcome our new businesses, give them an uplift. I know we put it certainly in the newsletter as well, but, you know, sometimes it gets missed. We can certainly add that to that. I know I asked Melissa to look into River Forest got a grant from the state to do some permeable pavers in an alley, or alleys, I'm not sure. I know you've received some of the documentation from River Forest, and I would ask that you take a look at that. There's plenty of alleys in this town that certainly need to be permeable paved or ground or rolled or whatever, that if there's maybe some monies out there to do one of those alleys in that regard, it'll fall right into Angelo and the Green Committee that's here today, and also for stormwater management. I'm sure Dave, with his engineering experience, can look at some of the grades, because as I spoke before, garages are on different levels in a lot of those alleys, so we want to try to do it the most easiest way to be done without causing it to be an adventure. So, okay. Oh, any update on your plan review person?
We had our second round, not this week, but last week, and we're making contact with the applicants that we had interviews with.
Okay, and one of the, I know you had an exercise that they had to do. Can you give us a little commentary, the rest of the board? I know what you did, but maybe for their edification, that there was a process to the hiring and not just somebody submitting an application.
Sure. So for the first round of interviews, the village manager and myself did the first round of interviews. And then for the second round of interviews, I did it was me and Building Commissioner Tony Saviano. So we did the interviews, and then we also gave them a mock plan review to do. So it was a plan review that BNF Technical Code Services had done for us. And then we just compared against what the two applicants prepared for us. We gave them like a half an hour to complete the review, gave them our code books, and let them provide us an analysis of the plans.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Melissa? Sure, be anything. Very sorry that you lost a relative this past week and was in Washington, D.C. We're sorry as well that happened. Anything?
No, I don't have anything at this time, but I did want to thank everyone for your well issues and offers of support that I received during my absence. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, President's report. It'll be brief. I did receive a correspondence letter from Fidencio Marbella, the public library director, and basically to myself and certainly the board, as always, the Westchester Public Library thanks you for your critical support of our Illinois Green Infrastructure Grant IGIG application from the EPA. Our success in winning this competitive grant will put Westchester Public Library and the Village of Westchester in the forefront of Illinois' efforts to use green solutions in combating non-point source pollution and in lessening the destructive effects of flooding caused by excessive stormwater runoff. Our grant amount, $163,000, will enable our library to construct an environmentally friendly parking lot using permeable paver technology. Use of permeable pavers will allow most stormwater to filter back into the earth rather than be sent into Westchester storm sewers, where this untreated water is discharged directly into the Salt Creek. Our library is a much-used community asset, and we intend to use our permeable lot as a means of showcasing how green infrastructure improvements can be used to help ease Westchester's flooding issues and to encourage residents and businesses to implement their own green initiatives, such as using rain barrels in planting rain gardens. Thank you for your progressive thinking, for your vital assistance, and for your continuing efforts on behalf of our community. Very truly yours, Fidencio. I certainly can't take the credit for this. This goes to Representative Chris Welch and also Frank Cortez, our lobbyist, for lack of a better term, our government consultant, who as soon as they were put together with Janet and myself and Fidencio and Phyllis, it was pretty clear sailing. Within less than 2 or 3 weeks, this happened. So looks like they have the right buttons to push. So hopefully this is just the start of this. And again, my mention of the permeable paver lot for the alley, since a similar green award was given to River Forest under that same program, IGIG, that maybe we can start on embarking on that process as well. Okay, I see we have an executive session for after the cow. Is that the plan of it?
Yes.
5 Ilix 122C1, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the body. We will hold that after the committee of the whole if the board decides. With that, is there a motion and a second to adjourn the board portion?
So moved.
Nick and Celestine?
Sure.
All in favor of adjourning the board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, say no.